On the outskirts of Ellensburg, Washington, nestled in the Manastash Ridge, there once stood a patch of land owned by a quiet man named Mel Waters. It looked ordinary: dense trees, rolling hills, and an old fence marking his property line. But what drew everyone's curiosity wasn't the view, it was the hole in his backyard. At first glance, it seemed like an old well, about 9 feet wide, ringed with ancient stone, disappearing into darkness. But this was no well. Like the owners before him, Mel used it as a trash pit. Broken appliances, tires, household junk, everything went in. His neighbors did the same. And strangely, it never filled up. After years of dumping, Mel realized something was off. His dogs refused to go near it, trembling if he tried to drag them close. Radios crackled with strange static when brought near the rim. And no matter what he threw in, there was never a splash, never an echo, as if the hole simply swallowed everything. Curiosity became obsession. Mel, an avid fisherman, tied a 1-pound weight to a spool of fishing line and dropped it down. It unraveled for thousands of feet, 500, 10,000, 20,000, still no bottom. When the line finally ran out, he'd lowered more than 80,000 feet, over 15 miles, and the weight never touched anything. As Mel experimented, his neighbors began sharing stories. They too noticed animals steering clear of the pit. Birds avoided flying over it. Even insects seemed to vanish near the hole. Then came the story that changed everything. One neighbor, mourning his dead dog, decided to toss the body into the hole. Days later, the same dog was seen running through the woods, alive, wearing the same collar, but it wouldn't come when called. It just stared and vanished into the trees. By now, Mel was both terrified and fascinated. He tried recording near the hole, but his radio picked up old-time broadcasts, music and baseball commentary from decades ago. One day, it played a live game from 1967. In February 1997, Mel decided to reach out for help. He called Art Bell, the legendary late-night radio host of Coast to Coast AM, a show known for UFOs, conspiracies, and the unexplained. The world soon heard about Mel's hole. Listeners suggested lasers, sonar, radar, anything to measure it. But before Mel could try, everything changed. The next day, when he tried returning to his property, the road was blocked by armed military personnel. Trucks, fencing, even helicopters hovered above. They told him there'd been a plane crash, yet there was no smoke, no wreckage, no smell of fire. When Mel demanded answers, a man in plain clothes warned him. "This land might not belong to you anymore. Leave, before we find something illegal on it." Mel vanished from the airwaves for months. Rumors spread that he'd been silenced. But when he returned to Coast later that year, his story only grew stranger. He claimed that helicopters had hovered over his land all night after the first broadcast. Neighbors reported trucks and heavy machinery being brought in. Some even saw beams of light, and one claimed he saw a dark column of energy rising from the hole straight into the clouds. Soon, Mel revealed that a group of Native Americans in Nevada had contacted him. They claimed to have another hole, one that matched his description exactly. This second hole was sacred ground, surrounded by metal instead of stone, warm to the touch, and eerily silent. When Mel dropped a wrench on the metal rim, it made no sound. Curious, they began experiments. They lowered a bucket of ice down 1,000 feet, leaving another on the surface for comparison. When they pulled it back up, the ice was still solid, but not cold, not melting. It burned when exposed to flame, creating fire that lasted months. Then came the most horrifying experiment. They lowered a sheep down the hole. When it was brought back up, it was dead, but not burned, not injured. Inside its body, they found something, a large, pulsing tumor. When they cut it open, a strange seal-like creature with human eyes slid out, covered in fluid. Mel said the creature looked at him, then crawled toward the hole. He picked it up gently, noticing the ozone smell on its skin, and placed it near the rim. The creature gave one last glance, and dove back into the darkness. A few days later, Mel discovered something impossible. His advanced esophageal cancer had vanished. Doctors confirmed he was completely healthy. Mel believed the creature, or whatever power the hole held, had healed him. When he returned to the radio to share updates, the call ended abruptly. Mel vanished again. Years passed before anyone heard from him. He later claimed he'd been paid millions to lease the land to an unknown government branch under the condition he leave the country. When he returned, his property was gone, fenced off, and classified as restricted land. He also said something strange had happened in Nevada. The burning ice, one of the locals had kept as a heat source, consumed all moisture in his cabin, until one day, the stove fell through the floor. When they recovered it, it had dug another hole, perfectly smooth and warm to the touch. That hole, too, became a mystery. Brightly colored birds circled it, immune to gunfire. The locals said the seal creature communicated with them through radio, warning them the burning ice was dangerous, capable of destroying the planet. Mel promised to gather photos, recordings, and samples to bring to the next coast-to-coast broadcast. But he never returned. His phone disconnected. His accounts were frozen. No trace of him was ever found again. Years later, investigators and fans scoured Ellensburg, comparing Mel's descriptions to satellite images. One location matched perfectly: 2 old buildings, one collapsed under snow, and a hole about 9 feet wide with a stone lining. But when explorers went there, it turned out to be an old well, not bottomless at all. No record of a Mel Waters was ever found in property archives or public records. Some said he used a pseudonym. Others believed he was silenced for uncovering something real, a rift in reality, a government experiment, or a dimensional portal. Whether hoax or hidden truth, Mel's hole became one of the most enduring modern legends of the paranormal. The deeper mystery isn't just about how far the hole goes, but what it represents: mankind's urge to peer into the unknown, even when the unknown peers back.